This is not good. This is very concerning. The Philadelphia 76ers may have made a huge mistake. We're going to talk about it here, and obviously it includes Joel Embiid. You're watching 76ers Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr., producer Jake Chipper on the ones and twos. He's coming your way here in a bit, and no matter where you are, how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day. We're talking a Joel Embiid injury once again, but this has long-term ramifications and long-term concerns. Here's this report from Ramona Shelburne of ESPN. The team and Joel Embiid had sought half a dozen medical opinions before signing him to a 3-year, $192.7 million extension this September, sources said. And all of those consulted believed his knee could be adequately managed by a combination of strategic rest and procedures to promote healing, which Embiid has been doing regularly since last year. At first, it seemed as though he simply needed more time to work his way back into shape after taking some time off following the Summer Olympics. But as the preseason wore on, it was clear to anyone who saw him that Embiid's knee was not right. I just don't get the Philadelphia 76ers thinking. The Philadelphia 76ers did not have to give Joel Embiid a contract extension. He had 2 years remaining on his deal, 2024-2025, 2025-2026. He is a 7-footer who is 280 pounds, who has a long injury history. And if you look at the history of the NBA, bigs who have been off injured, missing a lot of time due to injuries, do not age well. And while Daryl Morey has made a lot of really good moves as a basketball executive, giving Joel Embiid a contract extension, given all of the injuries that he suffered, how he looked in the Olympics was an awful decision that could really handicap this organization moving forward. Look at the albatross of this Joel Embiid contract, and stay tuned because we're going to hear from a doctor a little bit later who has a very concerning update as far as injury analysis goes for the future of Embiid's health and if he can even play basketball. His age 30 season, $51.4 million. Next year, $55.2. Year after that, $59.5 million. His age 33 season, $64.3 million. And in 2028, 2029, when Joel Embiid is age 34, will he be able to walk, let alone be able to play? He will be owed $69 million. We like that number usually, but not as far as paying a big at 34 years old, who probably will be a shell of himself if he's even able to play at that juncture of his career. So, Chip, when Embiid signed this deal, I proposed that question to you. Why sign him right now? You didn't technically need to do it. See what he can do the next 2 years, and if he's going to be able to play. And Morey said, you know what? We're going to give him this max. I don't care that you consulted with doctors. Use your eyes. But as we know with Daryl Morey, sometimes he goes by analytics. He doesn't go by his eyes.
And the Sixers clearly knew, right? And all their consulting, that there was an issue here, a long-term issue, of which we'll dive into here in a second.
Yep.
And they still decide, that money they gave him. It's what the stars are making nowadays, right? If you're one of the top players in the league, you're due for an extension, you're going to get paid a lot of money. It's going to look like a ton of money because the salaries keep going up every single year. So players will keep making more and more money. A healthy Joel Embiid, if you're getting a full season or at least 60 to 65 games of a healthy Joel Embiid every single season who's playing at an MVP level, that's fine. Give him the contract, right? Because you paid Paul George, you're going all in. You have to pay him. But the fact that they knew before they gave him this contract that it wasn't like he was just dealing with a singular injury, right? That he has these long-term concerns with his knee that might never be able to be figured out, yet they still decide, you know what, we're going to sign you for the next 3 years on top of the 2 that you already had and pay you all this money. It's really concerning because when you pair that with Paul George's contract, right, he's going to be making also a ton of money through 2027, 2028. And he's going to be even older than Joel Embiid at the time of that contract, in his upper 30s. Like, this team's window, when you look at from that aspect, forget just how much you're paying these guys now. This window, was really supposed to be this season and next season before you start to run into major issues where Paul George starts to age, Joel Embiid starts to age. And now you're looking at this team like, okay, they finally won a game now against the Pistons. They played hard against the Rockets, one of the better teams. Things are looking up a little bit, but it's just such an uphill battle now. And if you don't win these next couple of years, these contracts, they're going to add up, and this team could be in some trouble moving forward, especially long term, once we start to 2026, 2027, 2028.
Yeah. As part of this conversation, too, you're watching that Sixers-Pistons game. You signed an older Embiid to the extension. You signed Paul George. Look at what Adem Bona did against Detroit. Looked awesome. Look at how Ricky Council impacted the game. Think about what Jared McCain has done. It is time for Nick Nurse to play the young players. I don't need to see Reggie Jackson. I don't need to see Eric Gordon. I don't need to see some of these older players play these young players. One thing that the Sixers need, fight, athletic juice. And you see that how they play brings about a different level of energy for the Sixers team that they haven't had. Tyrese Maxey is included in that category. It's a vivacious type of energy that the Sixers team needs, and I hope Nick Nurse is watching the show and he makes those adjustments because that can really help to save his job and this team. Will the 76ers regret the Joel Embiid contract extension? Just simply type yes or no down in the comment section right now. Always want you to have a voice and share your thoughts here on this program. Now, coming up next, earlier I had alluded to the doctor that we were going to hear from. Brian Suterer, MD, speaks on Embiid's future amid his lingering knee issues, and he's done some of these fascinating injury breakdowns with like 3D images of a player's knee, for instance. Really good insight, and we're going to go through that coming up next. Today's 76ers now, though, sponsored by our friends at DraftKings. It's been incredible to see this company grow since I came here in 2021. I was employee 8. We just made a wave of new hires. We have more than 30 employees, 2 different offices. We're going through an office expansion right now. Part of the reason we're able to do that is we have great sponsors. The whole reason we're able to do that is because you support everything that we do. So we want DraftKings, for instance, to be a sponsor here at Chat Sports for a very long time. You can help make that happen if you use the code SixersChat after you download the app. The Emirates NBA Cup is here. You can win big getting in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. All 30 teams split into 6 groups every Tuesday and Friday, playing for the right to advance in the single elimination in-season tourney, culminating in the NBA Cup Championship in Vegas. First time here, here's something special just for you. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Score big with DraftKings Sportsbook. Every point counts. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code SixersChat. That's code SixersChat for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/bball. And in talking about the NBA Cup game coming up on Tuesday, Sixers have some work to do because they haven't fared well in the NBA Cup. The Sixers against the Hornets, 5.5-point favorites. What a rarity for how this season has gone so far. And the over-under at 212. You like the odds there? I do. Odds and lines subject to change. Sign up today with the DraftKings Sportsbook. So, a lot of you are probably wondering, well, hold on, Chase, Chip, you're talking about this Joel Embiid injury. What's going on? Concerning trend here, concerning update from Brian Suterer, who does great injury breakdowns on X. And he took to Twitter to say this on the 22nd of November, and then he released another video on this Monday, December 2nd. Not that complicated. He said multiple injuries and meniscus tears. The more the meniscus gets damaged, the less it can protect the joint and cartilage. This leads to more cartilage wear over time, swelling, and pain. The unknown is how much the meniscus has been damaged over the years and what the cartilage looks like. Managing it is an uphill battle. Historically, players got microfracture surgery. It did not work well. Now, things like cartilage and meniscus transplants are sometimes done. Lonzo Ball. But this can't easily be done for every case. I'm so sick of teams talking about their star players' health in an unrealistic way. We were repeatedly told that Lonzo Ball would make a full recovery, and he ended up with the meniscus and cartilage transplant, for goodness sake. Now 76ers fans are going through it with Joel Embiid. We know what happened with Lonzo Ball. He missed a couple of years after undergoing that type of surgery. And going back to Joel Embiid's rookie year, he's had 2 surgeries on the meniscus in his right knee where they have to remove part of the meniscus. We talked about this surgical repair last year when I had told you it's kind of the short-term recovery, return to play type of procedure. But if he underwent a different procedure, he would have been back for the NBA playoffs. So you're kind of weighing the options there. What does this do? This limits the ability to protect the knee. Think about it. You have bone on bone, especially in the knee, you're going to be in constant pain. That leads to recurrent symptoms, swelling, pain that have to be managed. You can even rest if you want to. The rest doesn't matter because it's still bone to bone there. So what does this mean for Joel Embiid's future? What can we expect with these knee issues here? We turn back to the man who knows, Brian Sutter. What's going on in his knee right now is most likely the result of everything that has happened in his knee the last 7 to 8 years that eventually starts to catch up with you. That would explain the swelling because that is a very up and down phenomenon. You have good weeks, you have bad weeks, you have good months, you have bad months. Important to note, there is no new injury here. This is everything over his career that is finally catching up to him now, which is why I said earlier, why did Daryl Morey give a 30-year-old big with an injury history a max deal? Idiotic, really. Team building malpractice. Brian Suter, more from him. The challenge going forward with this is there is not a miraculous way to fix all of this. We saw what Lonzo Ball went through with the continuous reports of, well, he's going to be great. Full recovery expected. Then the next thing we know, Lonzo Ball's had a meniscus transplant and cartilage transplant surgery. That is an example of what can happen. Not a guarantee of what's going on with Joel. It's possible for these players to develop that cartilage. Where Brandon Roy, Greg Oden, oftentimes it is a process that will continue month over month, year over year, and potentially lead to further injuries. Brandon Roy, great player, career cut short, partially because of these issues. Greg Oden, good talent, and a generational talent, potentially, at Ohio State. Injuries curtailed his career. Lonzo missed 2 full seasons. Brandon Roy retired at 27. Greg Oden played 105 games in 7 years. Kept injuring that knee. Joel Embiid keeps injuring that knee. Some might ask, can't the Sixers just rest him for a while? Even the rest doesn't matter because the same issue exists here. Brian Sutter on that. If you shut him down for a month, that could help him, but then you run just as much of a risk that swelling and irritation is going to come back a month later and continue to be an up and down process, and that's where we need to have a change in expectations. Maybe we can't expect him to be the same player that he was before. Can't expect him to be that same player. It's crazy how quickly things change in professional sports. 2 years ago, Joel Embiid won MVP. Now, he can't get on the floor because he can't get that knee right. And you think back to the conversation that we also had. Why is he playing in the Olympics? This is a line that Sixers fans don't want to hear. Sutter looks more towards the reporting that you're seeing from the front office, the expectations that are being set, and realize that it's likely time that we take a step in a different direction, reevaluate those expectations, and understand that what Embiid has gone through, all of this makes perfect sense and is something that likely we'll have to continue being prepared for. This all goes back to the question, why pay him when you knew what was happening? You might consult with different doctors. Clearly, all of that advice that you got was off the mark. Chip, your thoughts?
To me, what this all seems like is the Sixers, before they signed the contract, they consulted. And what they found was he's not dealing with a bad injury right now. What you'll have to do, and they knew this, is manage it. He'll have to sit out games, and that's what they had their plan coming into the season. They told everybody, we had this plan, he won't play back-to-backs, we'll sit him games here and there, and I think that Daryl Morey and the training staff were kind of hoping, okay, we do this, we can manage it well. We know what we have to do here. We'll be able to make it work. To me, that was kind of just wishful thinking. They were kind of like, if we go in with this plan, we'll make it work, and they were ignoring the downsides and what could potentially happen here. I mean, just like, it's literally the same exact thing that happened with Lonzo Ball. Now, hopefully it doesn't get to that case, but like, it was the same thing. The Bulls were hoping that with this continued recovery and rest and these different things, they'd be able to make it work. And look what happened. He had those terrible surgeries. He was out for multiple years. So to me, it's like the Sixers are almost just kind of trying to ignore the bad things that could happen and the downsides and how bad it really could get, and just hoping that their plan to rest him and have him sit out certain games here and there would work, when in reality, that was never going to work because it's already been set in stone. Because he's already had these injuries. He already, has missing parts of his meniscus that's causing further irritation and further wear and tear and further pain. You can't remedy that without having, again, these overarching surgeries that will have him out for a year, possibly more. So this is where we're at right now. We'll see. Again, it's possible Embiid could have, a good month or two in a row and not be dealing with stuff. And then all of a sudden it can go bad. So I guess the best case now for the Sixers is you hope that you win some games, and come playoff time, he just happens to have a good month or two, and he isn't dealing with this pain and these problems in his knee at that time. But to be banking on that and to pay him all this money just to hope that he can be healthy, knowing there's nothing you can truly do about it without him sitting out for a year or more, to me, it's bad management, and it's putting the Sixers now in a pretty bad position.
And we'll give you one more look at the Joel Embiid contract here. I mean, it is just not pretty. There's no other way to slice it up. Can you imagine paying a player $69 million who might not be playing in his age 34 season? Like Daryl Morey. What's the thought process? Oh, yeah, age 34. He's never been able to stay healthy. Let's give him a max. And the final year of that max, $69 million. He's way too loyal to players sometimes. Will the 76ers regret this Embiid extension? Yes or no? Venture down to the comments section. Share your thoughts with us and allow it to serve as a therapy session. Also, as you do that, don't forget to subscribe.